This is Head Harvester Bill Arman from the West Coast, and this is the Leadership Series. This is where Ed LaFlamme and I ask leaders from all around the world a series of questions. So here's the question we asked this week. What are the top 3 best practices that all companies should know and practice? That's our question for the day, and we'll see you right after this.
Some of the practices that a company should always keep at the forefront of what they do might be to pay attention to their numbers. I would say that's number 2. And to continuously get learning, continuous education, being curious, always asking questions, and surrounding themselves with smart people. That would be number 1. And then overarching everything is absolutely passionately caring about the people you work with.
To have good people surrounding you in your professional areas of business, legal and accounting and finance and all those things is number 1. I think number 2 is that you have to have the ability of being able to communicate with people, both customers and your employees. And I think number 3 is that you have to trust and go back and let people delegate. You have to trust people and you have to delegate with people. Not that you don't have to check on your delegation. That's where a lot of people get in a hole. They delegate and they'll follow through it. And I think if you take those 3 things, that's true in any business.
The 3 best practices I think that a company should know and have is number 1, a training program for the staff. You need to train, we train on 3 different things: safety, horticultural practices, and customer service. And all 3 of those are extremely important. We train about 42 hours a year per man, so it's a big investment for us. Another one would be financial acumen. You really have to understand the numbers, job costing, depreciation, a P&L, a budget. And then the last would probably be really having a tight ops program, how you schedule, how many hours the guys get, really having people on board with getting the work done properly, on time, on budget, with no redos. That's a big one.
The top 3 practices that I think a company should know and practice regularly is communication. Whether it's internal communication or with our customers, I think the biggest mistake that people make is they go out and do great work, but they forget to talk about it to their employees or their customers. And when a customer doesn't know what you're doing, they won't appreciate it. So I think that's the number 1 thing is everybody needs to know what your goals are, what you're achieving, and what maybe you didn't achieve and how you're going to react to that. The second, I think people need to have high expectations of themselves. We are doing good, but we can always do better. And we don't want to beat ourselves up, but we want to have higher expectations. It is, if we think we're good enough, that we're getting worse. So, that's the second thing, is always have high expectations. And the third is trust the people around you. I think you can have blind trust, but a friend told me once, trust but verify. But if you don't start with trust, you can't achieve the greatness out of the team that you work around.
I would say the number 1 thing, and I'm not saying that we practice this, but the number 1 thing would be hire slow and fire fast. Hard to do. We get desperate. I think the second thing would be, and we use this in our business, it's sort of the golden rule. It's the first thing we always fall back on. It's, treat other people, or do unto others that have them do unto you, or treat people like you want to be treated. And again, I think if you do that over the long term, if you realize that if you treat people well, then good things are going to happen to you. And sometimes it hurts because you make mistakes and you got to make them good. You can't make excuses. And I guess the third thing, again, goes back to employees. In the long term, you have to treat everybody like that. You just have to treat people well. Sometimes you're not going to do as well. You maybe don't make as much money, but you can sleep at night, and I think good things happen to good people.
I would say that they of really just developing a culture within your organization that really has fun with what they're doing. Love the work you do. Would be a practice that I'd want to have a culture that I have a team in front of me that has that kind of passion. Taking care of your customers. Response time is imperative in this day and age. That would be something that I would say that your customer is expecting things with the phones and all the equipment that they have at their hip. So a practice on that would be is just making sure your response time is very, very quick, and with clarity. And then obviously another key practice would be, I think it's paramount, is the safety, that whole culture of safe work environment, and the professionalism that needs to be surrounded with that practice.
Well, I think a company really needs to know the process, we talk about production rates and really driving those and understanding how important they are to your company. Training, we're going to double down on training in the coming years and understand that everybody here has to really understand their roles, but also know the role above them so that they can grow into it. So I think that's really important. And then I continue to talk about just what it takes to understand our clients and stay ahead of the curve, the trends, and just and really become an innovative group organization.
Top 3 best practices a company should know and practice regularly would be have a plan. Have a plan and execute it. Next would be to hire good people. Hire better people than yourself. Hire the people that complement you and will take you to the next level. And 3 would be know what you want to be. Know what you want your business to be, and then be it. Don't strive for less. Don't settle for less. Strive to be exactly what you set out in the beginning to be.
So those are some pretty good answers to that question, weren't they? I hope you wrote some notes down, and this will help you a tremendous amount. We get some real positive feedback on these Leadership Series questions, so we hope to hear from you. Let us know what other questions you'd like to ask leaders out there. So now this is Head Harvester Bill Arman from the West Coast. I have no idea where Head Harvester Ed is. He's on the East Coast or West Coast, or he's all over the place. But I tell you one thing, we're both here to help you harvest your potential.